Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades. The long-awaited episode of this show is why is femininity such a crippling problem, a retardation in Catholic spaces? And that's what we're doing today. You've heard me talk about it so many times as a glancing blow in other contexts. I mean, in the main context of feminism and how pervasive it is within Catholicism. But the problem is, why do so many Catholic men act like girls? And I don't just mean normie Catholics or Novus Ordo Catholics. I mean trad men also. The answer is, in a cheap way, because feminism pervaded Roman Catholicism, was an insurgent into Roman Catholicism more than any other sect or creed. And of course, this was the case because we're the big target, because we're the one true faith. But that's not a real answer. You know, why did it work? How did it catch? Particularly with trad. So while I'm talking about all Catholic men being, let's say 99% of all Catholic men being virtual cuckolds, total betas, I'm kind of focusing most surgically on trads. And that was the thing that I found the most surprising 7 years ago when I entered that particular space, online space, the mainly trads Catholic space, was I thought they would like a guy coming in, talking with true talk, telling jokes. That's a manly thing. We're going to hit that right off the bat. Talking with a man's voice, seeing the world from man's eyeballs, hearing it through a man's tympanic membrane, and giving you a male perspective. I'm not saying, by the way, this will be the first critique in the comment box. Oh, you're saying you're the consummate male, blah, blah. No, I'm just saying I'm a dude. You can't accuse me of being these 14 or 15 things that I'm going to accuse Catholic men of being, which is pathetic. Cuckolded betas, henpecked betas, making the marital vocation look awful. You can't accuse me of that, because I love my wife. My wife loves me. I'm a man. She's a woman. It's like an old James Brown song or something. I'm not saying I'm perfect. That's always where the guys who are just a kind of, their wife's henpecking you by proxy. That's all it is in these men groups. You're just getting their wife's opinion on everything by proxy. That's their first strike back. Like I said to Andrew Wilson the other day, they either attack, you know, genital envy, or they call you gay, or they just say you're generally insecure. That's what they say.
Sorry for the mic. I had to switch the mic over, so it should let us know in chat if it's not working as well, but it should be better now.
Okay, could they hear anything?
I think it was just it was coming through the Mac, so sorry about that.
Gotcha. So that's today's show, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm so sick of the topic, the status quo on this topic being the way that it is. So I hope everyone listens up and listens well today. It's really quite pathetic. 15 reasons and evidences that the Catholic world is the most pervaded with feminism, and we're judging by the men. You're used to hearing me judge the women. We're judging by the men. Should we jump right into this? First off, before I do, I'm going to give you evidence, you know, number A, however that goes, point of evidence number 1. But first, I just want to remind you guys, get yourself out of a blue state, get to a red state today. Go to www.realestateforlife.org. This is part of manliness, is controlling your environment. Controlling your environment, going where you think your family needs to go, not asking everyone's permission, asking no one's permission. Not a boss, not your friends. Well, what's the coolest place to go? Not your wife. You know, you're gonna consult with her after you've made a decision, but you need to get to a red state. And the best red states are in the southeastern part of this country, the most Christian ones. I need some more Catholics here. It's very Protestant, but it's a very cool place, and it's a very manly place to raise your family. Realestateforlife.org. Also, please support this show. If you're watching it all right now, would you subscribe to the channel? Pretty please. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. It's a boutique audience because we tell truth, even to the trad cats that don't want to hear it, even and especially to the trad cats.
write about the TLM, but they're feminists over in trad Cathdom. And we're trying to say, let's have the TLM and be manly. How about that? Not just a bunch of big, fat, bearded nerds who sit around and pretend that smoking cigars makes you manly. It doesn't. Today's show will prove it, onward and upward. But please do subscribe to the channel, even if I call you a big, fat, bearded nerd. I beg you. And if you want to support the show, go to Locals. It's connected to this video. 15 ways that we could prove that Catholic men are more pervaded with feminism. They act more like a bunch of big doddering girls than any other sect of Christianity or anywhere else on the globe. Number one, they never, ever receive jokes, jokes, as jokes. Every single joke that I've ever said, some of them were funny, some of them were quite funny, some of them were not funny, some of them were flops. But
all of them are funny.
Oh, thank you. Spoken like a woman that loves me. Thank you. I appreciate that. They weren't though. I mean, the point is all of them were true, usually truth and jest. And the first thing is that men who are controlled by their wives, which is what this is all about, are not. Yeah, we just got a Marty McFly feedbacking as he turns up the gain in Doc's house in the opening scene of Back to the Future.
Yeah, I'll try to. We're having all sorts of issues today, aren't we? I'll try to fix
it.
That.
Just began.
Okay.
They never get jokes. Most jokes, did you know? Thank you. Are IQ gates. Most jokes, you don't say just joking. That ruins it. That's what like my littlest kids do when they tell each other a joke. They go joking. You don't say that. If you want a joke, then you say something like, oh, so an Italian guy, a black guy, and a Jewish guy walk into a bar. Boom. The bartender says, get the fuck out, all of you, or whatever. You don't say, but it's not funny if you go through and you say, but I love Italians, black mans, and Jewish mans. I do.
Pardon the language, gentlemen.
And pardon the language. And for one thing, it's not funny. It's not true. Why would I say that afterwards? There has to be something and I'm an Italian man, partly. There has to be something unlikable about Italian man, black man, Jewish man, or else it wouldn't be fun to poke fun at them. So focus on that. Focus on the point of the joke. It's an IQ gate when guys' wives never get jokes. They always say jokes need to be charitable. No good joke is charitable. Michael Gary Scott from The Office affirms as much. And if these cuckolded Catholic men try to split the difference and they say, well, I'm going to tell a joke, but afterwards I'm going to say it's a joke, then it makes it unfunny, even if it was a decent one. But by IQ gate, I mean, you're testing for intelligence. In a gynocentric society, intelligence is dropped, right? When women pervaded male spaces, which is to say all public spaces, intelligence dropped. It became feminized and the IQ went down. And things became more estrogenic and androgenic and gross and everyone's having affairs on each other all of a sudden in the workplace. Now HR departments pop up in every single workplace. No one can tell a joke. Whereas all these public spaces used to be male and you didn't have to codify everything with like some legal contract. That was just a joke. You're not even allowed really to joke anymore in the workplace. They'll try to pretend you can. They'll be like, we like jokes, but you got to watch it with your humor. I don't want to watch it with my humor, else it's not fun anymore. Men don't like boundaries. I'm not saying moral boundaries. I'm saying men especially don't like praxeological and politeness boundaries. And the main way you could tell that you're dealing with a Catholic cuckolded beta male, and it's most of them, is you can never joke with them. I'm going to be referring and recurring frequently today to the Catholic group chat. The text group chat. I've been either kicked out of so many of these or walked out voluntarily because they all just sit there like a bunch of doddering ninnies, like a bunch of titty babies. Waiting to be milked. No one ever talks on them. And you're like, you invited me into this. I'm gonna make comments. I'm gonna make jokes. I'm gonna try to make you guys laugh. This is what dudes do. We try to make each other laugh. And everyone either leaves because I've offended them by not saying much. I'm not Andrew Dice Clay. Okay, I'm not Howard Stern. But they leave because they're offended. Or I end up leaving because I'm so bored and because I've been corrected fraternally for making 2 jokes. It's pathetic.
You should, at some point, you should tell, without naming names, who's in chat, but like one of your funny stories, particularly the one with the book, the Catholic gentleman who had a book, a publishing company. That was.
Yeah, I was like, there was some guy that was in charge of one of the major Catholic sort of textbook publication companies. And I didn't know it. And it was a very big chat with lots of well-known Catholics. And I was like, oh, this company is so faggy. I used to have to use their books when I taught at Big Puppy Mill Catholic School. So faggy. And then this dude just left. It was like a door slamming. And everyone was like, Tim, did you know he was the lead publisher, the CEO or whatever, COO, whatever the hell, of X publication company? And I was like, oh man, well, I guess it's good. Before he left, he picked up some valuable 411. His company is faggy and needs to stop. And they're all like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you forced them to leave. And then after you force them to leave with a kind of jokey remark, then you're not even sorry. I was like, oh, so I'm talking to a bunch of people's wives. And that's all it is in these Catholic men's events, men's groups, men's chats. They're all women's groups, women's events, and women's chats because it's a gynocentric universe. And all you're getting is their wives by proxy. Unless you're dealing with a real dude, you got his wife by proxy. And the best and first most way to tell this is via trying to tell a joke. If you tell a joke, you can get away with then you can get away with saying almost anything. Yes. Now you're getting it. This is the man's world. It's the jungle. You can't do anything. It's not you can't show a dude porn and be like, well, that was just a joke. No, because he really saw that. I'm not down with that. I'm not down to hang out with some other guy's wife or even ride an elevator without my wife. Some things one should be strict on. I'm talking about speech, language. Speech and language is for communication of great ideas and for fun. And girls just make society no fun. And for some reason, Catholic men are not allowed to joke. They have miserable lives, miserable wives, miserable lives. Right. In an inversion of the old trope. And they never joke. So jokes, if you want to bring manliness back, bring joking back. Number 2. This is a corollary. Some of these are related. Number 2 is related to number 1. They match how they talk to other men, even when they're in these male exclusive spaces, with how their wife expects them to speak, which is precisely why jokes are off board. But it's not just that. Even kind of hollering someone down, like, dude, don't do that. That wasn't cool. That was extremely gay. Don't do. I mean, I don't even go around correcting people. This is more the wife energy. And that's the third exact example. If someone does something mildly impolitic, suddenly their channel, everyone in the group chat, it could be a 30-man chat. I think that's what the one I'm citing was. Everyone's channeling their wife. Hand on the hips. Now you have to deal with us, bub. Buddy. Bucko. Look, maybe you could get away with that in that red pill space. But you're not going to talk that way around these Catholic gentlemen. These guys are fat pussies with beards. That's the Catholic world. No, I don't care that they're fat and they have beards. That's not manly. What's manly is acting like a dude. You know what's manly? It's acting like a man. It's acting like a man. It doesn't mean that you're putting your hands on your hips and changing the diaper with one hand and scolding some guy that's just trying to have a nice time with the other, trying to make you laugh. I was trying to make you laugh. Maybe my joke's no good. Maybe it falls on its face. It happens. But at least I'm trying. What the hell are you doing? Huh?
You were bringing light and truth to that.
Yeah.
To that chat.
Yeah.
Just say it.
And this is probably going to be a more ribald show. So if you guys are, I don't know how, and again, I'm not a language purist. So if you are, and you tend to listen around your kids, this is another one. This could be on the list. Everything is, you're always assuming the wife and kids are around. Why are the wife and kids around? It's like when you go to Dwight Schrute's house and there's just animal poop everywhere. Like Andy's like, why is it there? I'm assuming mainly dudes listen, but if you tend to listen around your like impressionable 4-year-old, maybe don't show them this show, this episode. I mean, usually it ain't bad, and we're never going to talk body. We're not going to talk about sex. That's not my thing. That's gross. And that is the one form of language, by the way, that really can conjure powerful images to the mind. But when we're talking about the things that truly chaste but still manly dudes talk about, everything else is fair game, right? Gore, really dunking on each other, jokes. I mean, jokes about the races, particularly a couple of them, you know, but
all of them,
gore,
except for one of them,
dunking on each other, the races, all of them aside from one of them. Well, and, you know, and then even when you're talking about white people or white men, it's fun to talk about what fat, you know, ninnies they've become, because it's so pathetic. So that's it. You're always getting a channeled version of the wife with her hand on her hips. Now you've got to deal with me. No, I don't. I do not. I dated enough to know what a good woman was. And I dated enough good women, and I was like, this is a good woman, not great. And a good woman, here's the difference for men out there who are listening. A good woman is a woman who won't nag you. That doesn't make her great. A great woman has to not nag you, and then without nagging you, add something back. That's really rare. And I got one. So fie on you, because I got one. You can say I'm rude. You could say I'm impolite. You could say I'm a sexist, a misogynist, an anti-Semite, whatever. I have misplaced views about early America, which I actually don't. But I got one, and most of these guys didn't. So nay, 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 nay. That's all I'll say. But a good woman, the dividing line between fair and good is where the woman actually stops nagging. And most guys don't even have a good woman in the Catholic spaces. But then good to great is she doesn't nag, but she adds a lot of flavor without being a nag. A lot of nags think they add flavor, and they don't. They're just adding misery to everyone's existence.
And I'll say too, for women that are like, because we'll get this in chat sometimes, or we have very cool, you have very good friends and their wives are all really, really cool. But if there's like a situation where a woman is not particularly fond of the language being used or whatever, then she leaves. Yeah. Right. So like if a woman is watching this channel right now and she has a problem with how you talk, turn it off, leave. Like right. This is a man's channel. If you're in a man's space, or if a man is spending time with his buddies and they're making off-color jokes and you don't like it as the wife, then shut up and leave. No,
see the door.
You leave.
See you in it. See the door. See you in it. See the door. See you in it. Bye. Like Curly Bell Brosius says. Bye. Another trick that they'll use before I go on to number 3. Another trick that the femme, cucked, whatever you want to call it, Catholic male feminists will try. And their wives, because you're just getting their wives being channeled. That's rule number 2. Is they'll take a word like fag, and they'll say, well, that is mortally sinful because you're talking about intercourse from a gay perspective. I'm like, no, I'm not. A fag is a guy I don't like. Okay? Look it up in the dictionary. A fag is a guy I don't like.
That you, Tim Gordon, don't like.
That I don't like. That Tim Gordon doesn't like. You know, if you use the F word, I might end up using it today, but it's only when I'm fired up. I'm not trying to use it extra. I'm not talking about the marital act. It's you know, instead of saying heck off like a P word, you say it for real. Or this guy's a fat F word. I'm not talking about the act of intercourse. I'm not trying to conjure dirty thoughts to anyone's mind. I'm talking about this fat loser, and you're like, get out of here, man. Get out of the group chat. And regarding the P word, same thing. We're not talking about female reproductive organs. We're talking about a ninny. So learn to channel maleness. It's coming back. It's coming back. When I say the F word or the other F word or the P word, I'm going to end up saying them.
Just say them at this point.
Yeah, we're talking fuck or fag or pussy. We're not talking about sex. I already warned you, right? Not to let Little Rod and Todd Flanders listen, so they start bleeding from the ears. This is this one we're being real. This is realness energy. Okay, or your wives. No, I mean Steph thinks this kind of stuff is hilarious, but we're not talking about sex. That's the one thing I don't enjoy talking about at all. Most manly guys don't.
You don't talk about that kind of stuff like at all.
No, it's because it's genuinely gross.
But that's not because that's not because I'm like telling you not to do something. It's just that you just have good prudence, and I trust your prudence. And yeah.
No, it's because language can only become truly mortally sinful when you're conjuring lust. I mean, or hate. But I don't call a guy that I just called, a fat pussy. I don't think that I hate him. I just wish he were a different way. Why are you the way that you are, Toby Flenderson? It's everything you choose to be. Catholic man, average man out there, normie man, trad man, big, fat, bloated, ugly G.K. Chesterton that just sitting there thinking, I don't think he really thinks he's manly. He's got high estrogen, low testosterone, 260 pounds, a big gross beard, no jaw, no chin. And just because there's a big disgusting cigar shoved in your mouth, it's like an oral fixation. These guys just eat and eat and eat. And when they're not eating, they need cigars and whiskey. It's gross. I don't like it. It makes me feel ill. And I know that they would never be the one to join the crusade. They couldn't even excel at a single sport in high school. Sports are the test. We're going to get to that. I know the Revenge of the Nerds response. Okay, so let's get to number 3. Number 3 is fatness. Why do Catholics who are supposed to spurn, usually as a mortal sin, gluttony? I know you might have a gland problem or your wife might have a gland problem, but you probably don't. You're probably just fat, overindulgent, overeaters. That's what it is. You overeat, and it's got a high correlation with the concept of overeating, the habit of overeating. High correlation with misery. High correlation with misery. This has been proven. People, because like comfort food, guys that they're not getting enough sex at home, they're not getting honor or their due share of their propers from their wife or the kids. The wife models the disrespect for the kids. Steffi, I'm getting a noise there.
Okay.
Sorry. the Rugrats.
Shelter.
Why are they up here? Thank you. So I don't, it's very clear. They overeat and the wife overeats. And another pair bonding bad habit is when one gets fat, it can really be wife or husband. I'm not even trying to be egalitarian, but a really bad habit from pair bonding that is very common is one or the other gets fat, and the other one, instead of going, hey, can you get thin again? This is gross. Fatness is disgusting. Okay? Fat people are gross. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, it's Catholic. That's uncharitable. Gluttony is a sin, usually mortal. Instead of saying that to the spouse who got fat first, in pair bonding, too often people just go, I'm going to give it in too. I'm just going to have, Cracker Barrel for dinner tonight. The other night, I literally was like, okay, we gave up sweets, but we allowed pancakes. And so I was telling Steph, I was like, hey, let's get Cracker Barrel tonight. Let's have some pancakes. And she's like, we probably shouldn't though. Neither of us is fat, but we want to keep it that way. And also I've been people have commented significantly lifting weights less, had a lot of minor chronic pains and stuff going on the past year. So I used to hit the weights pretty hard last 5 years. So I'm not burning the calories as much. Okay, so we won't have Cracker Barrel. See, they don't do that in these feminized marriages. It's just women just eat. I gotta have my chocolates. Gotta have my bonbons. So the husband, instead of saying, don't get fat, which is all you literally have to say, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I'll exercise with you. but let's exercise. You don't have to say it mean. You're beautiful, but you can't be beautiful if you're fat. Fat isn't beautiful. The body positivity thing's going away. It was never beautiful for these big, bearded, fat, smelly looking Catholics. I mean, bearded, fat, and smelly looking, which is practically a redundancy when you include the triplicate there. The smelly looking. If you're bearded and fat, you look gross.
And it's not even good for obviously it's terrible for the women. Like when you say this stuff about the weight, there's always like a bunch of women in chat that are like, oh, I feel so bad for Stephanie Gordon that Tim has this attitude. Like, why?
You don't have to. She's
why?
not fat.
My husband cares enough about me that he's honest with me. So I like when he's telling me what he finds attractive, I'm happy that he feels comfortable bringing that to me. That's a very good indicator of our relationship, that he knows I'm not going to act like a brat, that I'm not going to like withhold sex or treat him poorly, just for being honest with me about like what he expects in the marriage. Not only that, but he cares about me. All these guys, honestly, with fat wives, I'm like, do you love your wife? Like, do you realize the sort of health implications and infertility problems and all sorts of cardiovascular problems that arise from having a fat wife? Like that, how could you possibly—
You mean for them or for the wife?
For both. But like, how could you possibly love your wife and let her be fat? Like, that's terrible for her. If you actually love her, and especially if you have tons of children, it's like some of these trad guys. I'm like, guys, seriously? Like, my husband loves me. He's like, you know what? You're half Mexican. Like, you cannot get fat. You will die.
I personally attended to over 200 interviews when we were doing the matchmaking program, really, really hardcore, for about 18 months. And every single male I interviewed, I don't care about hair color or eye color, right? People care about race. They want to date the race or just whites. But they all say the same thing for a girl. Just thin.
All of them.
If you go, literally every last one. I don't care about hair color or eye color. I just want a thing. And again, she doesn't have to be like emaciated. That's just one of the lies by body positivity. Just not fat. Just have a little bit of an hourglass, a little bit of a thin waist. And women care a little bit less about that. The one thing they all care about is tall. I was shocked. Over 100 female interviews, and every single one of them are tall. They're 6 feet if possible. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, and usually they'll pepper in, hopefully not fat. So fat matters. Fat makes everyone ugly. And I'm surprised to have to be in the year 2025 explaining this to a bunch of cotton picking adults. Fat is gross. It kills you. It's like the most pathogenic thing you can do. It's filling your body with disgusting too much weight. And everyone knows it looks disgusting. Everyone, when they get sick, if you get a bad cold or flu for even 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I'm so happy I look a little thinner.
Amen. Word.
No one's
Totally
ever
true.
said bad.
Yep.
Oh, gross. I lost 10 pounds. No one's ever said that. And here's the thing. All of these fat losers in the influence space, they act like it doesn't matter. They act like it's not a thing. I'll see them showing off pictures like, I'm a manly guy. I'm like, but you're fat. That's the most effeminate trait possible. It's like you're like a big squeak toy, but with a gross beard. But I have a beard. So this brings us to number 4, the beard. The beard is always related to the fat because they don't have a chin. They have multiple chins, and they don't have a jaw. They have just a fleshy rounded corner or whatever.
A fleshy nub.
Fleshy nub here and here. They don't have a jaw. So they're like, but a beard can be manly. I mean, I'll give you this. If you're a fit guy, a beard can look good. Beards look very bad on most men. Average build, even if you're skinny fat, a beard looks kind of bad on you. If you have a hell of an admirable jaw, and you could grow the proper thickness of beard, which most guys who grow them can't. They don't have the thickness. I certainly don't. I'm not the beard expert, but I don't try to grow a beard. Then it looks okay. But 1 out of 10 guys, it looks okay on, but they have to be thin, fit, and not just be thin and fit, but have a kind of admirable jaw. Then it can accentuate it. Very rare, though.
We always say, too, let me show what we're talking about here. Let me get this on the screen. We always say that it's like a beard on the Pillsbury Doughboy.
It is.
Let's add it to stage. Let's see if this works. There we go. Let's see. There he
you
is.
have it. You have it.
I
ready
have
to
it
go.
on the stage. There he is.
Yeah, it just looks
Very manly.
Dude, yeah, so manly. That dude's hard, bro. And these guys who are cut like a bag of milk, cut like Luka Doncic in 12 years, cut like Nikola Jokic, right? These amazing basketball players who somehow are fat and white and slow, but amazing still, like Nikola or Luka. They, but them in 10 years from now, they're cut like a bag of milk. You don't put a beard on a bag of milk. That just looks like someone, threw away milk, and then the next thing to go in the garbage was a bunch of clippings from your dog or something. If you gave your dog a haircut,
people will say that in chat too, or in your comments. They'll be like, "Tim, where's your beard?" And I'm always like, "You have a chin. He doesn't need a beard. He has a chin, a very defined chin." So no, thank you.
I mean, by and large, beards are for fat pussies. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, so that's how it shakes out. Number 5, cigars and whiskey. I don't like cigars. I don't like whiskey. It's not because now there's other alcoholic beverages I might have with you. I've been chill. I go through years where I do chill on the alcohol. I don't tend to like anything. I've never smoked a cig. Never did drugs. Someone the other day was saying I look stoned. I don't even know what that's like. Never once have I done drugs. I spent years. This is just me. This is how I roll. I spent years upon years. Well, not that many. Months upon months over a couple years hanging out in seedy nightclubs with shitty, drunk, bearded metal guys. Some were kind of skinny fat. And they were all high. In my band, when I was a youth, we played tight sets because it's an easy way to advance in the rock and roll world if you play sober. And I was always a sobriety guy anyway. Then I didn't even drink in high school or through most of college because I was busy trying to I went from being a serious athlete, a basketball player. I got alienated by a coach. Serious white basketball talent in the Dallas area. Got alienated by my coach. He didn't make a pass at me or anything. We just did that safe environment training. So now I'm constantly on the watch for that. He didn't try to molest me.
You were not groomed.
I was not groomed. But we had a bad falling out. And, one of the regrets of my life, probably shouldn't have given up competitive basketball, kept playing, but when I'd been going more into the music realm anyway, and got drawn in by my older brother, who's a very, very talented guitarist. And so just started spending pretty much every night of college playing out, practicing, in the seedy rock world. And I never got into cigarettes. I would come home at 3 or 4 in the morning on a college weeknight, smelling like cigs, didn't like that. Smelling like weed, didn't like that. Once the band's publicity binder was missing in the little green room, we were looking around for it, and some other sleazebag band was taking a big line of coke off it. Fucking gross. There are girls, remember, at the Curtain Club that would take their shirts off. I was not even a good Christian at the time, far from it, but I would always stand around and turn my back in protest, while we're waiting to go on. This is gross. I just have some neo-stoic in me, even when I'm outside of Roman Catholicism. Get hit on by the usually chubby, pleather-bound metal chick. I just don't like what I don't like. And unlike a lot of you guys out there, what I like and don't like didn't change much when I came into the church in a real way, when I reverted. I still like the same stuff. I still like basketball. I still like some aggressive music. I still like the things I like. All of it is straw before the body, blood, soul, divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ and the Blessed Trinity and all that. So, I mean, I never thought, and this is part of why I guess I was so hard to cuckold, like Black Stallion energy. I like what I like. I don't like what I don't like. I'm not going to be a totally different person when it comes to basic daily interactions. when I became Catholic. So one, I'm not going to start repudiating everything that I formerly liked. And number two, I'm not going to start saying I like shit that I didn't like before. I don't like putting smoking stuff in my face. Now, I've never been judgmental. If I have lots of friends who are smokers, because I have lots of friends from lots of different walks of life, or I did anyway. And I was never super judgy about, if a buddy wants to smoke a cig or whatever. I mean, mainly a cig, but they don't hang out with potheads. I'm not going to judge you, but to me, a cigar is not much better than the cig. I'll try one. They're not awful. I've had a few. I just don't, it's just not my thing.
It's just become the expectations, like the gentleman will retreat onto the lanai and have a cigar.
Right. And that's the other thing that's ironic about all these, Fuentes calls them wife guys. He doesn't mean anyone that's married. Like, again, that's an IQ gate. Oh, he makes fun of any guy that has a wife. Bullshit. That's not true. Same as I'm not making fun of every guy that has a wife. A wife guy is a fat pussy who thinks that growing a beard and having no chin and being cuckolded and channeling your wife, just school marming all the other guys in the group by proxy, it's really your wife, is cool. No, that's not cool at all. No one wants to hang out with you, dude. And somehow they think because it's like their one little guilty pleasure they're allowed. The cigar and whiskey is on Saturday night after they do all their wife's vacuuming and baby care and diaper changing. That's okay. And the ironic part is if they have over their couple friends of other wife guys, they always segregate. It's always apartheid. I always notice this. When I'm with other cool guys who are married, we all hang out because their wives are cool. Their wives aren't bitches. Their wives are nice to them.
It's like
it's weird, but you'd think it would be the other way around.
It's like the guys who have like the man cave. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you have a man house.
Yeah.
So when you have people over, like there's no need to segregate because I'm not like in your ear after all your friends leave, like nagging you about, oh, I can't believe that guy said this. And that was a total bad joke. I can't believe, just let you be about your business. It's your house.
Or, but even more than that, you're not just stalking the halls like some waif, like a Stepford wife, the way that some of the, we won't name names here, the Catholic ladies who are jealous have of your sweet spirit have maligned you. No, it's just a big group, interactive, fun time. We don't need the man cave. We don't need safe spaces for males. That's what it is. Man cave is just a safe space for males.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like hanging out with, our best friends with you by my side and you're hearing your jokes too. We'll leave the women can or can't be funny thing to the side for a second, but I like hearing the female input when I was told by Michael Robillard, my co-author on Don't Go to College. He goes, here's the problem, dude. He's a good dude, Dr. Michael Robillard. Oxford trained philosopher, Army Ranger, tough man, smart man. Love you, Michael Robillard. He's like, I subscribe to a bit more of the red pill stuff than you, Tim, and here's why. And I was like, why? He's like, I met 4 or 5 truly anti-feminists in my entire fucking life, and all of them were under your roof. It's your wife and all of your guys' friends. I was like, okay, that's convincing. And we know it's true. But see, the irony is the wife guys, the bearded simps, with cigar and whiskey hour, they think they get to be manly in their safe space out on the porch for an hour smoking the cigars, whatever. I told you I don't even like smoke.
Or in some rumpus room that only he was allowed to decorate, right?
Right.
So that's
the one space. That's his space.
That's his room. That's the baby's room.
They think it's manly to do that and to segregate. And they think, I guess, in their little pea brains or their testosterone deprived brains, they think that's the manly thing to do. They're always guessing because these guys are very insecure. They don't know what's truly manly and what's not. They're like, isn't apartheid? The gentlemen convene here, the females convene here. Isn't that the manly thing? No, it's not. Because I explained this the other day, the male is always presumed. So when you got a room full of girls, they can speak with a female voice. When you got a room full of males, they can speak with a male voice. When it's a mixed group, you don't recur to the lowest common denominator, the females. The females can just sit around and laugh at the man jokes, and guess what? They like it.
Yeah.
They like it. Every girl that hangs out, who's usually really, really fun. We don't really have wife guy bitchy wives under our roof. This whole house is our safe space, me and Steph's.
Him's safe space. And I make sure it's that.
It's yours too, because you're more bothered by these ladies than I am. So let's be honest. Let's be honest here. It's just not for us.
Nope.
And so every woman that comes in and hangs out with us, by and large, for at least every woman that's ever been asked back, is someone that we think is cool and we want to hang out with. Okay, so the wife guys just can't figure it out. They can't get it. They think apartheid is more manly. Men go here, women go there. And we say, no, the apartheid is just your little version of safe spaces. Your wife just gave you this carve out provision. It's pathetic. Pathetic. So I don't like the whiskey and the cigars is not manly. Jokes and a univocal male voice that the females laugh at too, and no one looking over their shoulder after they tell a joke, that's manly. Okay? And not being fat. You don't have to be super strong, but at least be thin. Not being
Don't
fat.
be circus fat and then tell everybody how it is to be a man. That's not good.
Don't even be chubby fat. Don't even be Luka Doncic fat. Don't be fat. No one likes fat people. To be honest, everyone hates fat people. Oh, hates. Let me quote this Bible verse about hates. Everyone hates fat people. Get over it. Being thin or strong suffices as manly. It's manlier to be strong. But if you're just thin and you don't look circus fat, because even a little chubby looks circus fat, and telling irreverent jokes, not irreverent about the faith, you know what I'm saying? That's manly. And not segregating. If there are cool women around, then they will like the jokes. And smoke cigars and drink whiskey if you want, but I hate when everyone just assumes you're smoking a cigar or drinking whiskey. Maybe I happen to like amaretto drinks. Maybe I like a martini. Oh, but I'm told that's fancy. I just give me a dirty martini if I'm going to be drinking. Or maybe I won't be drinking at all. Maybe I'm just going to have a Dr. Pepper. Whatever I feel like. See, there aren't these neat little categories. The categories are clear, but the neat little categories have been prepared by Fat Jim and his wife. Really, they've been prepared by his wife, so they don't have a clue. Number
5, I think.
No, I think this is.
I don't think you went over 5.
Well, 5 was no chin, so they grow a beard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there's always 6 was thinks masculinity means cigars and whiskey. 7, a dude that never got into fights. Now, sorry, because even a lot of guys that are like, I'm tracking with you on 1 through 6, will be like, hey, I don't want to be left out in the cold. I don't mean you have to be a trained UFC fighter. I mean a dude that never, at least when he was younger, got into some fist fights. I don't mean you have to be a commando, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, how much can a man really know about himself unless he's been into fights? And it's not barbaric. It's not, oh, this is civilized society. This is blah, blah, blah. People will try to start saying, oh, this is like a race thing. Like white people don't get into fights. White people are cucked when they refuse to get into fights. I got into I'm not saying it's the best thing ever. Got into a big brawl the day I graduated college. I have a couple black eyes in my pictures fighting black guys in South Dallas, in the South Dallas basketball gym. So I'm, like I said, Sam, I never said I'm a commando. I never said I'm the best at fighting. I won some, I lost some, came out somewhere in between on a lot of them. But Catholic dudes need to have been in fights, or else you can't really back stuff up. I'm not saying gun fights. That's uncivilized. I'm saying fights.
Yeah, situations for that arise every now and again. Remember when, by the way, when Glenn Beck, when he was at some protest or something, and some guy poured alcohol all over his wife, and he just stood there and let it happen.
I think he was at
situations
Simon
like that
and Garfunkel concert in Central Park, New York. And he and his wife were or his second wife, whatever you want to call her, his civil law wife. his first wife, I think, was Catholic, and they got a divorce or something. But Tanya, his wife, who made him leave the faith and become a Mormon, and who always barks at him, got wine dumped on her. And you reap what you sow, ladies. You reap what you sow. Because did he come in with the left hook? Did he lead with just a uppercut to the jaw? How about some chin music? I don't care if it's a bigger guy. That guy just did an assault, actually did a battery on your wife, an unwanted touching, poured wine on her. No, you reap what you sow, ladies. Tanya liked that she could get Glenn to leave the faith, that she could control him. She could crawl inside his ears and control his mind like a puppeteer, like these ladies are proud of. But then they're never proud of the results, are they? Because once you crawl in your man's mind, if he's a weakling like this, a beta, and you can put his cojones in your purse, he's not going to be the kind of guy that defends you. Where I will go to war. I will go to war if you flick a drop of wine intentionally on my wife. I don't care if you're 400 pounds. Maybe you'll kick the shit out of me, but that doesn't matter. What a lady likes is I don't care. I also I've beaten guys up. I've been beaten up. It doesn't really matter. All you're showing the other guy is you can't get away with that. Because when everyone goes away bloodied, here's why beating up a bully or fighting back with a bully ruins their day, even if you don't like give them a sound thumping like in a movie, like a Mark Wahlberg movie, because they're going away bloodied. What a bully wants to do is pour wine on you or your wife and walk away unscathed. Then that makes their day. They've got a story for the rest of their lives. Whereas when you take a bully and you say, look, you might break my nose. My nose has been broken, I think, 3 times, but I broke your nose too. I'm not the one that went around picking on you. So the standard of review is a lot higher for a bully. You understand how that works? People would, I think my dad said this to me once, and he wasn't like a completely anti-fighting guy, but he's like, well, if you're not decisively winning these fights it's smart in a dad way, but if you're not decisively winning this fight like a movie where you just hand this guy his ass, then what good is it? Because if this dude comes by and flicks your ear to make a fool out of you, and you break his nose and he breaks your nose, well, he's the fool, right? You're just defending yourself. And Catholic guys that just go home, and like Mark Twain says, I've lived in the North and I've lived in the South, and all around the average is a coward. In the North, you bully someone, they go home and they pray for a humble spirit to bear it. And in the South, they have like midnight hangings or whatever. Well, I don't think those are equal. But that's the average Christian, the average Catholic cuck all around. They go home and pray for a humble spirit to bear it. That's not what your charge is. Your charge is to defend your family. And it's quite pathetic when you hear a story like Glenn Beck's. And I would never want to be that guy. I would never, ever allow myself to be that guy. And again, you don't have to be like a giant muscled commando to defend your wife. She just wants to see that you'll get in there and scrap.
Right.
Right?
Yep. No woman wants to be married to a Glenn Beck in a situation like that.
Well, we could have been sued. He was talking about it because I used to listen to Glenn Beck a lot, like 15 years ago when we were first married, 15, 16, 17 years ago. He's like, well, I could have been sued. Dude, you're a fat pussy.
You're wealthy. Like,
you're below the floor,
problem
man.
with you? Like, you just lost so much respect in your wife's eyes.
Can never get that back.
Because you didn't want to throw some guy. You didn't want to throw a couple of arms and then throw a guy a couple of bucks afterwards if you happen to have lost, which would have been very unlikely given the actual situation at hand. But that's even worse to be like, oh, I didn't want to lose some of my shekels. Yeah.
You're never going to get your wife's respect. This is where all these memes come from with being cuckolded by, your wife doesn't want a polite guy. Women want a bad boy to be good for them. And again, I think Fuentes also said this. It's true though about wife guy. Like when we condemn a guy that I think it was Benny Johnson who walked his baby around the block and he's said, this is the most fun I've ever had. Guys, why don't you do this? quit virtue signaling. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, maybe I will, maybe I never have, maybe I do every day of my life, walk the baby around the block. You're never going to know. That's from private life. Maybe I'm a really tender guy one-on-one with Steph. Just maybe. But I don't parade that around. A girl, fundamentally, every woman wants a guy that's a bad boy to be a good boy just with her. Just as a guy wants a good girl that's a good girl everywhere else to be a bad girl with him. So you guys need to understand this. Being Catholic doesn't make you skate around the rules, doesn't make you step between the raindrops. This is nature. Roman Catholicism is the true religion because it's the one religion that embraces the natural law. Intersexuality doesn't change because we're Catholics. It is what it is. And that doesn't mean you can go around and follow red pill prescriptions. They do have prescriptions even though they say they don't. Like bed 50 women before. No, that's gross. You can't be a horn dog, can't be a coomer. You can't be disgusting. You can't look at porn. You can't fornicate. But you should, in all other ways, still struggle to maintain your testosterone. Number 8, misplaced chivalry in general. And that's kind of a descriptor for everything I've said so far and will say. It's just chivalry means women are small, diminutive, silent, receptive. They laugh at your jokes. That's whom chivalry is for. Little women, right? Women, and chivalry is still for those women. It's not dead. You know who announced chivalry is dead? Feminists. You know why? Because no one is treating them chivalrously because they don't deserve it. They act like tranny men or whatever it is, trans women. They act like dudes. They're gender dysphorics. I'm not going to be chivalrous to a woman that's belching and farting in the side of the room and using the F word and trying to be one of the guys like Elaine Ben is. No chivalry for them. No shelter for the manly women. Chivalry only for the women. So is chivalry dead? No, it's very much alive. For the, 4 or 5 females currently inhabiting the planet who are actually ladylike, we'll be chivalrous around them.
And that's the thing that women don't understand is that sort of feminine behavior begets that sort of natural response from men. If you act like a lady, men naturally want to not act cucked or anything in front of you, but just treat you with respect and dignity. And so maybe some of these feminists are just like, because they are just so crass and disgusting. I mean, half of them are like parading in the streets, like with bare breasts, and they're wondering why they're being sexualized and treated poorly. It's like, well, because you're acting like a floozy. It's just not that difficult to do the 1 + 1 = 2.
Amen. Number 9, hear me carefully on this one. The sports ball question. This is an important one. If you never thrived at a sport, and because you didn't thrive, you're bitter, and you openly mock sports, then you're a girly man. Okay? Sports like track, football, basketball are what we're talking. Those are top tier, right? The toughest ones, particularly for white people to thrive in. But we'll open it up and include baseball and I guess soccer as well. And even some of the other sports. Even if you just lifted weights and you did it seriously, fine. But if you're a guy that mocks sports, you can't be manly. Now, I call it revenge of the nerds because the anti-sports ball crowd, they think this is really
Clever.
novel.
I think that's
They
funny.
think it's clever every time. It's the most pussy thing you can say, to be like, I hate sports ball. They gained a little momentum. The nerds with the ressentiment from high school that think now they get to be cool over the jocks who are like strong and built and excelled at, 3 varsity sports. You think you're going to be cooler than that guy just because the high school dynamic has broken down because it's not present in front of your eyes anymore? Nonsense.
Because we live in an effeminate culture right now that has actually predominated.
That's right. The effeminacy is predominated. And also, here's the thing, even with guys that were good at sports, there has been a mass realization that pro sports and even college sports have become something of a bread and circuses distraction to otherwise able-minded conservative men. And because it can be a distraction, a lot of guys that were good at sports themselves were like, I gave up watching pro sports. That's fine. Those guys get a pass from my critique here. If you're good at a sport and you just stopped watching pro sports on TV because it's a waste of time or because it's run by hoo-hoos, which all of the professional sports leagues are run by hoo-hoos, and it's another means of gatekeeping mass control, that's fine. If you're good at a sport, you're cool. But don't call it sports. Those guys never call it sports ball. They never try to extend the critique to include even those people that did what a man is supposed to do in high school. What's a man supposed to do in high school? Get good grades, if you can, and be as good at as many of the good sports as you can. That's just the charge for all men because it's military training. So it's written into the natural law. Now, if you weren't good at sports and you're kind of like, I'm glad to have skated past that period of life. Just don't call it sports ball. Don't mock it. And no one will know. That's the thing. No one will know. And just get built, lift a little bit of weights so people think maybe you're good at one of the sports in high school. And don't talk shit on sports.
And never say that in front of a woman.
Never say it in front of a woman. Every woman wants you to be good at sports.
Or at least, just understand the value in it.
It's like, say, if you're like, I'm not good at sports, I'm not athletic. Those guys are behemoths. That's like saying I'm a bad lover. I'm a bad lover. Or that's like saying I will let you get beat up, woman, in front of me. I am Glenn Beck. I am a big, fat goofball cut like a bag of milk.
Like, go ahead and cuss and make off-color jokes, but never, ever, ever say you don't like sports in front of a woman.
just don't mock sports openly. If you weren't good at them, that's one thing. Don't mock them openly. Women know what you're doing. It's revenge of the nerds.
It's like on Hot Rod where he says, what's the lamest car ever? A Corvette.
No, the most overrated car ever.
He's like driving around on a bicycle and the girl he loves, her boyfriend has a Corvette, and like the next scene is just him talking to his brother. It's like, what car is so overrated? He's doing push. Corvette.
Yeah, his brother's like, oh, you mean the same car that Jonathan drives? And he's like, oh, is that what he's driving? I didn't notice. Yeah. All the guys you wanted to be in high school, beta Catholic men, fat Catholic men with fat Catholic wives who have a beard, but you haven't been able to see your private parts for the last decade because your stomach sticks out so far. We know you envied the sportsmen. So stop. Quit while you're ahead. Everyone knows what you're doing. Methinks thou doth protest a little bit too much, fatty. Just protest a little less. Okay. Number 10. This is a sticking point. You've already heard it come up. It's sort of a summation of a lot of these, like I said, about the chivalry. When you're in a Catholic group chat and they begin, or you're just talking to a bunch of Catholic dudes, or maybe it's a men's event, and they open anything they're saying with gentlemen, I know it's going to be this dude channeling his wife. This is, what do I look like? A titty baby? Don't talk to me that way. I'm not a gentleman. America doesn't even have the landed class. It hasn't for 200 years. So stop. You're not a blue blood. I'm not a blue blood. We're American colonials. All right. Embrace it. There's a lot about European culture I like. The gentleman thing is the LARPiest, aside from maybe saying you're a crusader when you're a fat ass who can't even walk around the block without breaking into a sweat. If you're a fat ass who can't walk around your block or go for a 1 mile run, which is not a proper run length, without breaking into a sweat and nearly having a coronary, then you could not pass ranks for a crusade. So stop. Same thing with gentlemen. You're not a gentleman. Gentlemen were thin and usually didn't have big, gross beards. So stop it. It just means, or they'll also, usually 9 times out of 10, gentleman is bounded by, that's not charitable. I need to do a fraternal correction. And the general thing here is, this is number 11. They're basically just too eager to fraternally correct because it's not a fraternal correction. It's a maternal correction. So number 11, the rule is 9 out of 10 fraternal corrections by guys who began their sentence with gentlemen, it's not a fraternal correction at all. It's a maternal correction. Fraternal corrections are things where the guy is doing a mortal sin and he truly doesn't know. Actually, and you never say it in front of the group. But it's literally, I only do a fraternal correction if I think the guy doesn't know. I'm not just trying to have one of these wife guy arguments. And it's never about a dude that told a joke or said something mean so that a Catholic publisher left the group chat. I just think that was hilarious. But it's something like, this one comes up a lot. Everyone's got divorced friends and family. Did you know that if you're hanging out with a divorced friend and or family, if that divorced person is remarried, you can't hang out with them and their wife? Did you know that? See, that's a fraternal correction because a lot of people literally just forgot. I don't care if it's your father or your father-in-law or your grandpa or your best friend. If they get a divorce and they're hanging out with their new wife, that's not a wife. They're just hanging out with concubine. That's adultery. You can't go get dinner with them anymore. You'd go get dinner with your married friend who's cheating on his wife with his girlfriend with the apartment in the city. You're not allowed to do that. So stuff like that, that's a fraternal correction, never for the group chat. Always just for you behind the scenes. And it's not for tone policing. That's just woman by proxy.
It's usually guys I've noticed that have done that to you. It'll be just that they what they think is mean. It'll just be like, Meanness, I think that's mean. Or the one that you hate most of all is like, that's not
charitable.
That's not charitable.
It's not Christian. It's just henpecking. It's a man henpecking me, even though he's not a hen. He's whatever the hell a male hen is. What's that? Just a chicken? He's just chicken pecking me by proxy for his wife. Number 12. These guys, you know this one. They're doing women chores around the home. All right, so now we're getting close to home.
There we go. Bingo.
I mean, I don't need to say anymore. These guys are doing woman chores around the house, and it lowers their testosterone and it raises their estrogen. This has been proven. And they will go to war, their kind of fat loser war, where they just will, correct you charitably and call you a gentleman and get red in the face, and their chubby face will quiver a little bit. It won't just be pasty white for a second. And they'll put down the cigar and the whiskey, and they'll do their best job to think, what would my wife do in this situation? She would put her hands on her hips and say, we need to help out around the house too, gentlemen. We need to. What you think baby care is just for wives? Yeah, I mean, literally, that's every civilization known to man until 40 years ago. Go to Africa. They still have it right. The women take care of the babies. And these fat bearded losers will quiver a little bit. They're not going to do shit because they've never been in a fight, but they're going to channel their wife, who's their leader, in their gender dysphoric home where everyone's fat and everyone acts like a woman, and they're going to do their best to, by proxy, henpeck you, chicken peck you.
And I'll say too, like, just to stand up for the guys in that situation, I actually genuinely feel bad for them because their wives have convinced them that it's like some S test that if my husband loves me, he's going to do this very menial, very quick chore that she very well could do very easily. Like changing diapers is a perfect example, because I know when you got into that whole thing, so many men were like, dude, come on, really? It takes 4 seconds. It's like, exactly. What's wrong with your wife? If she's not like laid up after childbirth or in a coma or something, exactly, it's only 4 seconds. Why is she not doing this? This is like I always say, an ape can do these things. And so I don't know what has happened to the modern woman where she thinks that imposing very menial tasks on her husband that she very, very simply can do, and she's better fitted to do those things, is some sort of measure of her husband's love for her. It's very emasculating. And I don't think that most women are understanding that they should be embarrassed if their husband is doing that sort of thing. It's not something to be proud of. I don't ask you to do that kind of stuff unless there's we have a daughter she's basically has an adult woman's body, but she's severely handicapped. And so to change her diapers, quite literally, I need physical help. So if I'm asking Tim for physical help on a task that I need to do, then that's a different story. But things that regard like a woman's touch, like changing diapers or cleaning up, it's like, just grow up, ladies. Why are you even asking your husband to do these things? Usually it's laziness. Or it's some sort of, like you say, S test to see if he'll even do it or how often he'll do it. We'll get this from people, younger couples that we spend time with, where the young man who just had a baby, he's a new father, he'll report that people in his family will ask him, oh, how often do you change diapers? Like, it's some sort of measure for him. Really, it's a measure on the woman that she sucks because she's not doing her job. And if you're asking your husband to do that often, then you need to grow in virtue. That means that there's something you're not accepting your femininity and your role in the household. And you need to grow up and you need to grow in virtue and start taking care of those chores more often. And I'm frankly tired of hearing the stupid excuse, usually from men, because they're hearing this from their wives, like, oh, it only takes 4 seconds. Why would you not do something 4 seconds? That's not the point.
That argument cuts two ways. That argument cuts 2 ways. These women, by the way, would freak out if there was something that a man was supposed to do that took 4 seconds. And he's like, why don't you just do my wood chopping? Or like, oh, there's a guy who's breaking in the car. Oh, why don't you handle that for a second? Like, it takes a second.
It's so stupid. Just women, up your game. Stop making your husbands do masculine or feminine things, especially if they only take a couple of seconds to do. Just get your act under control and do those things. And for the love of Pete, we saw this like in our documentary. Don't film yourselves walking across your house with a baby out like this, holding a dirty diaper, and bring it to your husband as some sort of like, oh, look at me, I just passed off my responsibility to my husband, as it's like some sort of cutesy thing. It's gross. Just do it.
Well, they're not doing it.
Leave your husband alone.
They're not doing it as a shit test. I'd respect it if they did it as a shit test, Steph. A shit test would be the woman asks, maybe before they get married, hey, would you change a baby's diaper? And of course, the shit test inheres in the fact that the guy thinks that she's wanting him to, but in reality, he is not. She doesn't want him to say yes. And it's a true shit test if he's like, hell no, I wouldn't change a diaper. And then she's like, all right, my man. That's a shit test.
But that's why it's such a great example.
It's her just testing the fences. That's different from, it's the opposite of a shit test.
Can I think too, what's happening with women is that they're being told by the hoo-hoos and just other women how men should behave, and equating that to how much a man loves you. Like for the famous example, like a couple gets married. And for some reason now it's become a thing where if the man doesn't blubber like a child while his wife is walking down the aisle, then he must not love her. If a man doesn't change like 50% of the diapers, he must not love her. He must be abusive, right? If he's not the one carrying the gay baby backpack around in church, or like the baby in the carrier, he must not love his wife.
No, the trads will say 20% of the day. They think that they're manly for saying, oh, it's not even half. It's 20%. Why are you changing 20% of the diapers? Do you wear 20% of your wife's dresses? Probably.
Well, he wears her like baby backpack in the baby carrier, so who knows?
Right. 13. The general G.K. Chesterton aesthetic is a Catholic man that's basically a Catholic woman, in my view, right? Mm-hmm. The tweed, cigars, the whiskey. I know I've been beating on this. It's kind of summary item here. Number 13, the G.K. Chesterton aesthetic. No, this doesn't work. You're not British, you're not European. It just doesn't work for American Catholics. I don't really think it worked for G.K. Chesterton, if you want to be honest. I mean, the guy was a distributist. He was a Fabian socialist in Fabian Socialist Society. I don't like that aesthetic. Sorry. Maybe you disagree, but what's my show? Number 14. Generally, these men listen to their wives as a kind of holy writ. And they don't know that actual holy writ is based about things like cussing. It says, a headstrong wife is a bitch in the Bible. It says shit in the Bible. Obviously, these can't be sins. Gives us a good model for cussing and insults. The best insulter in the world is Jesus. You've been lied to by your wives about Jesus. He calls a woman at the well a dog. He calls Peter Satan. I mean, there's nothing meaner than calling someone Satan. So remember St. Augustine on insults. Sometimes it's a sin not to have righteous anger where you should. These guys with their femme energy always think anger is wrong. It's not. Sometimes it can be a sin to not be angry. Righteous anger is good. I also don't know how based the actual Bible is on the Jews and on women, the concept of women themselves. So they're listening to their actual woman.
And those women haven't clearly read scripture, because scripture just puts women on blast.
Nonstop.
Like just nonstop. I mean, talking about we found like 6 or 7 verses of them of scripture making fun of women for nagging. Not even just saying, oh, women nag, they're a pain in the neck, but saying things like women nag to the point where men want to live like in the corner of a desert to get away from them. Like restraining a wild wife is like holding oil with your hand. Another verse, it says that a nagging woman or a headstrong woman is like handling a scorpion. I mean, people who get all up in their feels about hurting people's feelings and saying things that are mean clearly have never read a line of scripture, particularly in the Old Testament, where it is just putting women like on blast almost every other page, and the hoo-hoos, not to mention like other groups. But it's like there was so many times I was reading through the entirety of scripture and I would show you and be like, look at this line. It's absolutely devastating, some of the insults in scripture.
Even St. Paul, he's not being as stylish, but so many of those Pauline epistles that we've now, I think, repopularized the last couple of years, pretty devastating to women.
Yep.
To Catholic feminists, to those Lila Roses out there that want to make Catholic feminism something other than a circular square, a contradiction in terms. It can't be. Finally, number 15, these girly Catholic men are always want to do one thing, can be counted on to do one thing, to join a Catholic men's group. Let's talk about masculine things, gentlemen. And it's always comprised by a bunch of equally henpecked males who are just trying to get away from the home because their wife allowed them this 1 hour or 90 minutes a week. Because kind of like we said about the man cave, the safe space for males, they just need a safe hour or two. Instead of like, hey, I can do whatever. Contrast that with what I have. I can do whatever I want. I'm a man. I realize it. My wife acknowledges it. I hardly ever want to leave. Yeah, kind of like what I said about hanging out with other Catholic couples. When it's other manly men and their wives, I want to hang out with the manly man and their wife. We don't need the apartheid. I don't need the apartheid with Catholic men's group. Me and Steph have a good time. Well, what if you just want to talk about hunting or video games? Half the time I'm trying to get Steph to come hunting with me just to sit and whisper because I get bored alone. She's the one playing the video games and I'm watching half the time.
True story.
Play with our kids. Well, what about if you want to talk about just a movie that dudes like, not a chick flick? We watch dude movies nonstop. We do everything together. It's called being married. It's called being married to a good woman. So that's it. Yeah, the men's groups, number 15, are for all of these Catholic cuckolds. And I want them to be, I'm being honest now, I want them to be able to turn it around. I want these Catholic cuckolds to be able to take the power back, reassert their manliness in their homes, to their wives, in front of their children, and take the power back, because everyone will be happier when you kill the gender dysphoria that grows like a canker on the heart of your family. Stop going to the men's group comprised of other guys that are just complaining about being henpecked.
We're just wondering if you want to take a couple of questions in chat or comments in chat.
All right. Yeah, we'll do fast one. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do super chats for questions starting from now on. Do we have any of those?
We did have super chats earlier. Let me see if I can find some. It'll be harder for me on the new software to find them. Somebody said they disagreed with number 15. Parishes need to foster more male fraternity, especially for single Catholic men.
No, they don't. You're wrong. Sorry. It's just stupid. Parishes don't need to do that. That's for the henpecked losers. Men are good at finding other real men. Real recognizes real. Okay, so I don't think that. I do think parishes should stop doing less girl stuff, but your parish doesn't need to organize like an event for hunting. If you're the first thing I did when I moved here is I was like, I want to find some good spots to hunt at the local gun store or my plumber, my electrician. I'm literally like, hey, where can I find turkey around? I know I can find deer everywhere around here. Where can I hunt turkey? Can I go with you? They don't need to be Catholic. And your church, your parish priest doesn't need to be like, here's where you can hunt this week. If they do that, that's fine, but that's not true. That you need help. You need your mommy to hold your hand to make all the friends you can.
It's like a play date, but for men.
Yeah, it's lame. Sorry. If your priest is a cool hunter guy, like I've been hunting with I won't share who it is because he got in trouble in his order for hunting with me because I'm a persona non grata. But I've hunted with priests before, and actually a priest is the one that showed me how to most efficiently field dress a deer. That's cool, but I mean, I just your parish is not responsible for holding your hand and giving you male safe spaces. Sorry, they shouldn't do. They should fire all the women and not have the the fag hags hanging out with the priests. I don't like that, and they should fire all the women, particularly in the schools. We should have men teaching our children where possible, but I don't like the pervasive, pernicious female influence there, but we don't need to replace it with like hand holding for men to make friends. Men need to be able to make friends on their own.
You always explained to me, like, this was always interesting when you were talking about, like, in a store, like when guys like see each other just to like say hello, where you said like a chin up hello versus like a chin down. Like there's kind of like this funny male language where it's like you can tell like a good dude from somebody who's just kind of type A and a pain in the neck.
Yeah, it's a weird phenomenon. Pat showed me that. You ever notice the difference between head up and head down? You do it even if you don't know it, men. You could be passing on a bike ride or something. Head up is always someone you know. Head down is always someone that looks like a respectable man, but you've never spoken to before. Don't know why. It's just that. Interesting.
Somebody says, you tell the average woman today you won't change diapers and she's going to leave.
No. You're wrong.
Let her. Hey, you know what? Do that. If you're dating, you're a young man and you're dating and you tell the woman, I'm not going to be changing diapers. Perfect test right there.
And you'll see how wrong
Dump her.
Wait, no, not necessarily. She might try that. You see, this is what those guys say. The low T guys say, stop saying that shit, man. That's not true. I know the pervasive, pernicious feminist influence will make her start stress testing the fences. But if she's a good woman, you don't want to throw her out. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Talk like a man. See these guys? Who made that comment?
I don't.
What's the name of that?
Pat.
The guys that make these remarks, you're the enablers, and shame on you. Shame on you. You're the problem. No, I know that they're going to be like, wait, what? They're going to express surprise. But see, you've never converted anyone. That's what that tells me. You'd say a bunch of what they would say is obnoxious stuff in front of her and give her a little bit of time to become attracted to it. Because you know what? If she's not a lesbian, she's attracted to men. This is how men talk. Of course, I'm not going to change diapers. That's what you're going to do as you stay at our home barefoot and pregnant if we were to get married. And then let her hear you tell all your jokes and cuss in front of her and do the things that men do. Do not be gynocentric. It's not the average woman. Maybe it's more like 50-50 will be too brainwashed by feminists. 50% of them will be too brainwashed by the feminists. The other 50% will be like, you converted me, dude, just talking like a man. See, that tells me a lot about a guy when he says stuff like that. Never on this show. Don't say that stuff. 99% of them will be out the door. No, you just don't know how to make converts.
If a woman likes a man enough, like she'll put up with that too.
She'll start liking it.
Yeah, she'll start liking it. Like there was a lot of things like at the beginning of, not a lot, but there's a lot of things when you were like introducing me to the faith where you're like, this is what's expected from you and this is what's expected from me. And when I wasn't Catholic and I was learning all of this, it was at first quite, I wouldn't say overwhelming, but it really was an eye opener. I was like, oh, really? And I was interested in the faith. So I actually did want to learn from you, like what the rules were. But I'll say this, on the things that were a little bit more challenging for me, I was automatically willing to submit and to humble myself because I didn't want to lose you, right? And then later it came, the intellect kind of followed the will, and I started realizing, oh, this is correct, like what my then husband said at the time. Tim was my boyfriend, but I remember thinking on some of those things more specifically, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just trust him on this, and I don't want to lose a good man over something silly, so I'm going to just abide and see what happens. And you were right.
But you were always clear about, you liked how I planted my feet.
Yes,
This guy
I love
goes
that.
and plays in sweaty, dirty, grimy, morally shitty rock clubs and is not tainted by it, right? I don't want to start smoking cigarettes or weed or doing coke or fornicating just because there are a bunch of floozies and smokers and druggies around. It makes me more grossed out by that. I play here because this is the place to play rock. This is the designated metal rock area. I hate it though. That's attractive. A man that's in the world, but not of the world. See how Jesus is always right? This guy might look a little bit worldly, but guess what? He's not. Also, this guy can protect me. This guy will defend me.
Some interesting comments in chat. One guy said, you can't chad a woman into submission. That's just not true. That is not true. Literally is why I'm sitting here right now.
You can't if you're not a chad.
All of your best buddies that are like younger men, like literally converted either atheists or women who had no interest into faith into some of the best Catholic women I have ever met. And I'm not saying
correction, you can't do it. That doesn't mean it can't be.
Yeah, it definitely can. That is
dares wins, my friend.
That is not true. That is not true. If a woman won't submit to you guys, I'll give you the key to the universe, so to speak. She's not that into you.
Right.
There's nothing that Tim couldn't ask me to do when we were dating that I wanted to prove myself so that he would pick me to be his wife. If a woman isn't willing to do that for you, next, go on to the next one.
But here's the other part of the secret. If you're a legit Chad, she will. Most of them will.
Yeah.
It's the motto of the RAF: who dares wins. Who dares wins. And all these guys with this femme energy, we're clearing them out now. Let's go through it all. No, you can't just women don't change their minds. That's not what they do. Women change their mind 5 times per stream. Steph doesn't change her mind much, but she does if she's initially wrong. And I have to be like, no, Stevie, you're wrong here. Then she'll change her mind. But women they're the easiest minds to change. Go read some Jerome, Chrysostom, Augustine, Ambrose on women.
Yeah.
You just don't know. True. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's the blind leading the blind with you. And you've been brainwashed. I'm sorry.
People upset in the chat. Some people upset in the chat about the diaper stuff. Again, I don't know why that's become such a thing. It's clearly a woman's task. Like, women grow up. Just get it done already. Like, why are you bothering your husband for this?
I'm not going to argue.
This is so simple.
It's just
get it. It takes 4. I have 7 children, and there has never been. Somebody in chat was like, is there, I don't think that this one was being snarky, but like, are diapers that big of a challenge? If a wife is sick, would you change a diaper? I would have to be like very ill not to be able to do a 3-second chore. See, this is the problem with women is that they set up the parameters where they, a man is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't in this situation. So like they'll say the same thing out of both sides of their mouth. They'll say, a diaper, really? That takes like 4 seconds of him to do that. And then at the same time, I'm like, well, then why aren't you doing it?
You hear that?
Unless you're like in a coma. I am not bothering you ladies out there need to up your wife game. If you're bothering your husband about a chore that takes 4.5 seconds, then you're lazy. And you need to just work in virtue. I'm sick of hearing it. It's gross.
You made a great point. Let's make it really clear so people can understand. You can't use the spaghetti on the wall approach and say, A, it's so short and easy. B, why don't the men just do it? That doesn't work. It is short and simple, and it's very, very important for the signaling in the household that women do women things. So even if a woman's mildly ill, I mean, if she's in a coma, then a man's going to have to change that diaper because the baby can't just be dirty all the time. But illness short of a coma or damn near a coma, deathbed, it is short. It takes like 30 seconds. So do it. Have your wives do it. See how your life changes. Sorry. you're in violation of probably the other 14 signals here if you're violating that one. Sorry, not sorry.
It's the quality of women has gotten so low that they've made it a measure, a quality of a man to see how much he'll do for them that they should themselves be doing. Yeah. And it's silly. Like this is all very simple. I pride myself on the fact that I'm not bothering you to do these chores. And it's gross to me that a lot of women out there think this is some sort of flex, that they've just cuckolded their husbands into doing things that they really should be doing. So I'm going to turn it back on the women. Like, yeah, it's a 30-second chore. Yeah, it's your child too. Why aren't you doing it? Like, just do that. Why are you making or asking your husband to do something that you're better fitted to do? Right? Because women it's just like cleaning a diaper. You know, there's some things that you gotta work around and stuff. So it's like, it's just better for women to be handling that job anyway. Think about it this way. If you're like an older man, let's just flip it to the end of life. If you're like an older person, who do you want changing your diaper when you're 90? I don't want some dude changing my diaper like when I'm 95 years old. Right. Like, it's just obviously.
Well, these are the same, the wife guys that have a working wife, which is a smaller subset. A lot of people pulled their wives out of the workplace, which is good. You know what they always say? They always say, wait, so a woman can't even be a nurse? Isn't a nurse a more natural position for a woman because of the feminine virtues?
Right.
But then out the same side of their mouth, they'll be like, but a woman shouldn't be basically the nurse for her own baby. It's absurd. Everyone knows a woman's better at cleaning, particularly cleaning a body, particularly cleaning like around the very, very private parts of little babies, whether it's a boy or a girl. It's not natural for a man to be doing it. And you said this yourself when you were defending nurses, half of the cucks out there. So get out of town.
Yeah, and well, let's put it to the test too. What about if you have some of you that have your kid in daycare, right? And you have the option between a man changing your 2-year-old daughter's diaper or a woman, or your son's diaper. If you're in this unfortunate position where your child's in daycare and needs their diaper changed, obviously you're lying if you say you want some dude changing your kid's diaper. So just don't bother your husband about it. Just grow up.
Yeah,
women need to just be better wives and stop with the game of semantics. Next question. What is the difference between your position and that of Islam?
No, are there any? These aren't even super chats, so we're not even making money. You're fucking retarded. That's the answer. It's just probably some feminist hater.
Somebody just gave you $5. Said Win Timberland the Gordon. So
thank you for the $5. I'm sick of it, man.
This woman is a nurse. She's like, I've been a nurse for 40 years and I have an issue with male nurses. They lack the necessary empathy in most cases. That just makes sense. Yeah, it's like it makes sense that women have natural gifts from God, which make even ladies menial tasks like cleaning a toilet or a baby's bottom more fitting for your personality. Than men. That's why they're wood chopping, or a man doing the things that a man does, even if it's menial, like taking out the garbage, his muscles and his arms, and he's just can handle smells.
Everyone knows. It's just if you have to ask, you'll never know. It's like, why can't a man wear a dress? You could tailor a little extra material so that he could fit in one. I'm not gonna dignify it. I mean, the nurse is right, and you're of course right, Steffi, but it's retarded. You know what you're doing is wrong. You're either prideful and you'll admit it. It's gender dysphoria. Women are in charge of infant care. It's that simple. I'm a smart guy. I can make you a symbolic logic proof of this, or maybe not this, of most issues. Could come up with a fast demonstration of the existence of God, a fast demonstration of the futility of sola scriptura. I'll debate anyone you put in my way to debate, but this is a retarded intellectual turd of an issue. It's just bitter men out there who are you're being cowed under by your wives. And I'm telling you need to take the power back. And instead of being like, I know you're right, I know you're right, you're just choosing violence. You need to take the power back. Your wives need to be doing the wife chores around the house. Men need to be doing manly things. You need to be lifting weights, not growing a beard. You need to be. There's a lot of work we have to do. It's an important movement. The most important movement in the world is undoing the gender dysphoria of Christian homes. I don't care if non-Christian homes are gender dysphoric. I expect it. But Christian homes need to be well ordered. And sex is more intimate to the human personality than even race, as the popes have said. Far more, as Pius XII said. Sex is so important to your personality, and the things you do, the ergons, the work that you accomplish day in, day out is supposed to be related to your sex more than to any of your other categories or accidents. So get to it. Quit making excuses. We're not being provocateurs here. You need to do the right thing. I'm not going to make you an argument for telling you why a man shouldn't wear a dress, why a man shouldn't speak in a high falsetto, why a man shouldn't be doing his wife's chores around the house when she's perfectly healthy. I'm not going to. I'm done with that.
Joe Enders is in chat. He said, check your phone. While you do, we'll add our Pillsbury Doe Trad Man back to back to this is look how manly he is with that beard. Cut like a bag of milk. Totally manly.
Someone said, watch the first 30 minutes of your episode. I agree with a lot of what you say, but you've got anger issues, dude, and pride. There's a distant lack of charity in both y'all that is repellent. Being right on a given topic doesn't shield your vulgar, unchristian temper tantrums. You violated like 4 of the rules in a short beta-ish tweet. Yeah, you violated 4 of the rules. You don't agree with me. You're not on this team. You're on Team Feminist. But this is a tweet by Austin Legel. Sorry. Yeah.
Somebody said you're wrong on the beard. Your real issue is fatness, not beards.
No, it's both.
Yeah,
It's both. I said that if you're fit, you can have one, but it makes most guys look ugly and gross. It does. It just does.
Super chat question. Is it feminine? This is Grandma Zoomer. Is it feminine for a man to want to be part of decorating the home, or does a man get to decide the vision of the home?
Man gets to decide everything. But that doesn't mean you can't delegate. Do you think Steph like wrestled away from me using female cunning and wiles and dissimulation? The fact that she does most of the gardening. I go out there and I help, and she just asks me very politely, hey, could we go and get a few more flowers? I had an idea for here. Could we take the old fire bin where we used to have outdoor kind of bonfires? It burned through. Could I use that and fill with a bunch of flowers? Sure, that's awesome. But I don't know what that means, just how the Christian household dynamic works.
I know what you delegate to me. After 20 years of marriage, I know what's delegated to me by this time or not, because some women will be like, oh, this stuff, I have to ask your permission for everything. No, at the beginning of marriage, yeah, there was a lot of that where this is what you're going to do, this is what I'm going to do. But now we're 20 years in, like we're up and running. I know, like Tim wants me to do certain things through the day. I can make the decisions about, what we're going to be eating or, where the flowers are being planted. But however, if at any point he's like, you know what, I want to take more ownership of this or that thing, he can change that at any time. I just know now, like he doesn't care, what I'm making for lunch or for dinner, or, he doesn't care where I'm planting the flowers or what I'm doing in certain aspects of our daily life. But again, if he wanted to care and he wanted to take that over, he can.
Anyway, so I think that's a good show. I think that's a solid 15. I think it should be helpful to the people that are not prideful. Speaking of pride, it's the guys that are rooted in and they're fearful of making a change. You can do it. I believe in you. Make a change on all 15 of these. Yeah, if you're fit in the beards, I said that's the one non-categorical one. But most of the time, it's a bad idea. It's a bad look. You got to learn to look good, because part of being a leader is looking a leader. And if you're fat and you have a big, gross, patchy beard, it makes you look like a cuck. And it's that much harder for wife and even kids to take you seriously. You got to look lean-jawed, hungry. Caesar wanted men about him who were fat, remember? He wanted them because they're complacent. They don't have ideas of their own. They can't lead. He meant leanness versus fatness intellectually, epistemically. God bless you guys. Take these 15 rules to heart. I'm serious. This is not provocateurism. This is very important for taking back real Christendom. Deus Vult.